Evening, Paul. What kind of psychological edge can you get when your group is clicking the way it is in the power play and you've moved into a top five situation?
Well, there's an awareness by the other team, when you're coming in against a strong power play, that you got to be careful with penalties that you take. But most of that then is just confidence over the boards, right? So we had, well, we'll call it Andrew Kopp's unit in Vancouver because he scored the 2 goals. They're there. It's just the way that penalties, we scored on the first one, so Shifes goes second, then we get the split over the 2 periods. So second unit really didn't get much of an opportunity to score tonight, or to get on the ice really for that matter. But having 2 that can score and feel like they can score when they go over, they play differently, right? That confidence is everything.
I will go next to Ted Wyman from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Ted.
Well, further to that, how much are those 2 units feeding off of one another, and are they, having a healthy competition with one another?
Yeah, healthy and respectful, right? The first unit that gets out is usually Shife, and sometimes the function of that is just the face-off guys, right? I have lefty and righty on that unit with Sass, so that you've got 2, kind of strong face-off men. And then, they're coming off the ice at the right time too. They're not trying to take a minute and a half, minute 40, because they know the other guys have earned the right to get out there. But each have an identity, and the second unit's identity is more shot focused, which makes them almost better coming off second, right? They'll come out of in shorter time. How many pucks can we get to the net? Nicky likes to shoot the puck there. So they play at a different pace. But yeah, I mean, there's an awful lot of good ribbing that goes on in the power play meetings between the 2, deciding which is the first unit, which is the second. So
Go next to Jason Bell from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, you talk about a power play. What about the PK at the end there, and the benefit of a veteran foursome there to be able to kill,
right,
all with his tail between his legs, probably in the penalty box, cheering them on.
Yeah, just hoping, right, that good things will happen. They got a bad break on the first one, but we've been pretty solid with our PK. Everybody understands their role. When it gets to 6-on-4, they know the changes that they make in it. And at the end of it, it's really Adams' face-off win, right? There's more confidence in that group. I think they're in sync really well. I didn't think they gave up a whole heck of a lot. We're aggressive at the right times, passive at the right times. So having guys that have experience on that penalty kill is really important.
We'll go back to Ken Weaver from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weaver.
Paul, what stood out about your work with your defensive structure? You did a really good job of keeping
yeah
outside.
I thought we were collapsed in our own end at the right times and aggressive at the right times. It was a little like our penalty kill. Really competitive in some puck battles within 10 feet of the net. Did a real good job with that. I think our forwards, for the most part, did a nice job of not leaving our D alone. So there were some clean outlets, and then we did stretch at the right time too, and we ended up with a goal because of it. But our forwards and our D are working well together in terms of their spacing in our end.
We'll go next to Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
Thanks, Gregor. Hi, Paul. I'm just wondering, I've always kind of wondered, is there a general rule for when to front a guy in front of the net, when to play behind him, how you approach that?
I think the first thing that you look at is the kind of shot that's coming. So if it's a one-timer, you're going to sit in behind and you're looking to pick up sticks, and the goalie's got to stop that. But if you can get pressure on the point and force a wrist shot, something with less heat on it, you're going to step out in front of that. We like forward motion on that step out. So it's not stand and block that shot. It's push into the shot so that anything that comes off you comes forward, and that you have the motion as opposed to the guy that might be, you're taking a risk when you do that. The puck cannot get by you, right? Because you're very probably leaving the offensive player in behind you on the step out. So if you're making that decision, you need the forward to have pushed, that you can have read that it's a wrister or something that you're going to be able to handle. And then you've got to have that puck right there. So there's a bit of a risk to that play. If it's going side to side and your forward's not in the angle and the D's stepping into it, we're expecting you to stay as close to your tender as you can, just in case, on a something that's a heater. Helio stop it, but he may not be able to control it. We want that inside layer then on those.
We'll go next to Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Sean.
Thanks, Gregor. Hey, Paul. Blake touched on this earlier, and you touched on it a little bit there. But him talking about how your team is playing really solidly as a 5-man unit, and how the ability to do that and to stay together really erases the mistakes that are made, because whenever you make a mistake, there's 4 guys there to kind of cover up that mistake. I'm just interested in where you think your team is at in playing like that, and the confidence that it creates in the players when you are playing like that.
I think, there's 2 or 3, maybe inflection points, and they both happen to be actually Toronto games. I think we started after our first loss in Toronto. We got much better at it. That's a long time ago. But I think that our game in Toronto was right, and we got good results from it. And then I didn't think that we did maybe in 3 of our next 4. We lost 3 of our next 4 games. But our game, we had the heavy turnovers in the loss to Montreal, the 3 that were kind of egregious. And then we had some unusual kind of one-offs in the Edmonton game. But our game was pretty darn solid there. Like big bulk of it is right. And I think they're just kind of building on it. So you're seeing, the kind of the advantages of a team that's going out and their first priority isn't necessarily scoring goals. And that's how our mind, that's the kind of players that we have, right? We have some offensive players here. We're going out to do the right thing and to win hockey games. And if that means better defense than offense, then that's the game we're going to try to play. So I think they have their minds right about, and I think, again, I've alluded to this, it's maturity, right? We're here to win hockey games, not score goals. But when you're real young, that's how you kind of break into the league. You want to be that offensive style player. And now we've got more guys competing defensively, even if they came into the league as offensive players.
And final question to Ted Wyman from the Sun. Go ahead, Ted.
Well, just to follow up on that, if you look at the last 3 games, is that sort of how you draw it up as a coach with the good goaltending? You obviously have had very good defense these last few games, and you've got that, really powerful scoring up front.
Yeah, that's the template, right? You would, when they got the puck, you want to be a real good defensive team. You hope that you have the puck more than they do, but there are nights against, really good offensive teams that can control the puck, like Toronto. You just have to be a really good defensive team and make the most of your offense. And then there's some nights maybe you feel you have the offensive advantage and you'd like to make plays, but you want to be able to kind of seamlessly bounce back and forth between those two and not try to impose your offensive game necessarily on teams and lose the defensive part of your game, right? You don't want to be just one kind of team. So you want to be able to, if the other team's got it going that night and they're feeling it and they're snapping it around, that you can weather that game, that you can go in and play well enough defensively and be patient with it. And then there's nights where you can impose your will a little bit and you want to make sure you've got, the confidence to put the pedal down. We've been in, we went 9 straight games against teams in playoff positions, and 7 of them were on the road, came out 500. But I thought our game after game 2 in Toronto was pretty darn good. In the last 5 games, we played pretty well and then kind of just continued on in the last 3.